Hello and welcome back to the Young Entrepreneur's Journey podcast with your host, Yasmina Ellins. And today I have the absolute pleasure of chatting with Julian Hierro. Let me know that I pronounced that correctly. And he is a fitness trainer who is crushing it in his coaching business. And he basically helps vegans get jacked. So he helps vegans shred fat, build muscle, and look better naked so that they can become a vegan boss. And as I'm a vegan myself, like who on earth would not want to be a vegan boss? Am I right?
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much. So my first question for you, Julian, is what originally got you onto your entrepreneurial journey?
I think I've always had that seed since I was a kid. I don't know why. I've done a bunch of things since I was young, since I can remember. I've sold shoes online. I did fitness coaching a couple years ago as well. I had a gym. So it's been something like that's dormant within me, not dormant because I'm doing it, but it's been within me for the past, I don't know, since I can remember, honestly.
Yeah. So you were the kid with like the lemonade stand, like you basically had it in your DNA. Right.
I mean, I've done so many things. Like there was a point where I was saying like shit for like off-road trucks. And then I sold weightlifting shoes and I paid for my master's degree selling weightlifting shoes. So I've done a bunch of things like entrepreneurial wise, but now I'm like head deep into it.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. So what originally got you to start your coaching fitness business? What inspired you to take that really seriously?
Well, I've been into fitness since I can remember, since I was a kid. I got into fitness because I wanted to look better, to, be more confident, talk to girls, blah, blah, regular stuff. But then it became kind of part of my life. And I got really good at it. I mean, I know exactly how to help people get in shape. I had a gym. That was like the first thing that I did regarding fitness. I owned a CrossFit gym a couple of years ago. And then I helped a bunch of people. And then I realized that, you don't need a physical location to be able to help people, and I could help more people online. So I just about a little over a year ago, decided to go into it full time. And it's been awesome. Like I do it because I'm really good at it. I know how to get people in shape, and it's the best thing that I know how to do, basically.
Nice. So take us through that journey from you starting out to where you are now, because like right now you're crushing it. And I don't know what it was like for you. Like usually it's not easy in the beginning. Like take us to that road from like, how did you go from getting your first clients and starting to get people results to scaling it up to the point where it is now?
Yeah, well, I was kind of like forcefully thrown into it because I was thinking about it for a while to start my business. I had a job I had a regular job before I started the fitness coaching business. And I always had it in the back of my head, you're really good at this, you should do something about it. But, I had the comfortable salary. So I kind of did something, but in the end, I didn't take enough action because I didn't have to. I had that comfortable paycheck and I had a good life. But earlier last year, I had some issues with my boss and he fired me. So I was like, well, I got to pay bills now.
Never.
What the fuck am I going to do? I need to do something. So I was kind of like in limbo for a couple months, for like 2-3 months, like deciding what to do. I even thought about becoming a dating coach for a little bit. I worked with a dating coach for a couple months. And then, I was like, I'm just like fucking around. I know what I need to do. I know what I'm really good at. I know what I'm best than most people at. So let's just focus on this. And I just decided to go full into fitness coaching. I already had a background. So I had people that knew me from the gym because I owned the gym. I had some people that already knew that I was good at that. So the first thing I did when I started fitness coaches was basically reach out to the people that knew me from the gym. And those were my first clients. Nice.
And then how did you go from helping out your first client, getting them results, helping them out in their fitness? Like, I'm curious, did you start with the whole, like, let's talk about niche, right? So did you start with the whole vegan thing or were you just a general fitness trainer? And let's talk about the power of a niche. Like, why is niche so
I was
important?
a general trainer to start out. I wasn't niche down at all. I recently transitioned into the vegan niche like in February this year. So it's just started out. Before I was just doing general online coaching. And, I did okay because I have social proof. People look at me and they know that I'm good at what I do. I know how to get client results. So I have testimonials from the people that knew me. So that kind of helped out a little bit. but a couple of things helped me take off. First, I did it on my own for like 2-3 months. And then, I was making probably, a couple $100 a month, probably $1,000, $2,000 a month. But then the breakthroughs came when I just hired people to help me out. I hired coaches, and they just made me believe in myself, showed me that it's possible to grow a company, to grow a team. And the more coaches I hired, the better the results I got. Mm-hmm. And the power of the niche has just been amazing. Like I went vegan early I haven't been vegan for that long. I've been vegan since January this year, actually. I transitioned because my girlfriend, she's been vegan for 7 years, and she was like, on me, like since we started dating over a year ago, like, hey, you got to try this, because she knows I love animals. So she brought, we had arguments about benefits, and I always had counter arguments. But when she had arguments about, you love animals and you're doing this to them, I had nothing to say. I have nothing to counter that. So I was like, well, I'm going to give it a try. I gave it a try. And then I realized that there's a lot of vegans that need help with fitness coaching. They're very lost when it comes to setting up nutrition, setting up training. So I decided to fully transition into the vegan niche in February, and it just my everything, social media, my business, everything took off, basically.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think one of the things when it comes to a niche is a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to be really general, because if I'm general and I cast a really wide net, then I'm going to get the most people possible. And they think that, and then you're like, like that is not the way it works, because when you niche down as like, I help vegans get fit, that's one specific group of people. So you don't have to water down your message. You literally know exactly how to speak to your target audience. And then people who experience that issue, they're like, yeah, yes, like you can help me. Yes, I understand the story. If you're trying to cast your net too broad and you're like, well, I'm going to help just anyone get fit in any way with whatever problem, your message is going to be so watered down that it loses its impact.
Yeah, when a vegan lands on my profiles, they know they want to stay because they know I'm talking to them specifically. Before, it was kind of watered down, like you said. Like people land, it was like, well, maybe this guy knows something, maybe not, but he's not really talking to me, so I might stay, I might not. So it didn't really click for them. So yeah, so it's you can specifically talk to your target audience. You can resonate with them, and the idea is to make your target audience identify themselves with you, so that when they find you, they don't want to leave you. And yeah,
100%.
Another reason I made that decision is because if you look, like in my head, it was like, well, I need to be the best in the world at this, right? So the fitness niche is very, very broad. Like there's a lot of guys that look like me or better than me, have better bodies. So I was like, there's a shit ton of competition. On the vegan niche, there's not, right? There's a couple guys that look like me or better than me or have average body, like the same kind of body. So I was like, well, I can become one of the top guys in the vegan niche because the competition is smaller. So that's another benefit of niching down. The competition is going to be smaller. And if you're really fucking good at what you do, then the chances of you making it to the top are a lot higher.
Yeah, most definitely. It just gives you that extra edge. It just makes it so much easier for you to stand out in a positive way and like actually dominate a niche, because it would be very hard for you to dominate the whole fitness niche because it's so broad. But dominating the vegan fitness niche, like super easy. So let's talk about the idea of veganism, being a vegan and being fit and health. Like, why is how can a vegan get jacked? Like, how can I become a jacked vegan, right? What are the cliff notes of that? And why is being a vegan actually really good for your fitness?
Why is it good for your fitness?
Yeah.
Well, a couple of things, right? I don't think being vegan, like the fact that being vegan is automatically gonna make you healthier, right? What happens is that when people decide to go vegan, automatically they start thinking more about their diets, and automatically they start making better decisions, right? Because if you identify yourself as a vegan, then automatically you're gonna start eating more veggies and more fruits, right? And you're gonna think more about your diet. Whereas people that are not vegans or non-vegetarians, they don't think that much about their diet. So one thing that happens automatically for people is that something clicks in their head when they brand themselves or they call themselves vegan, and they automatically start making healthier choices when it comes to their diet, and that leads to an improvement in health, right? So that's number one. If you want to be a jacked vegan, if you want to have a great body as a vegan, the principles are the same, right? You got to have a proper nutrition plan. you got to have a proper training plan, and you got to do it consistently over time. Those are the three things you got to do, basically.
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. So how do you recommend, because we're speaking to an entrepreneurial audience here, and I think one like really common problem that entrepreneurs have is like sometimes they forget to take care of themselves because they're so wrapped up in their business. They're just like business that they're like too busy to work out, quote unquote, or they like forget to go to the gym, and then it just like health and fitness does not become a priority, and then eventually they get really stressed and they burn out. So how would you recommend that entrepreneurs can start integrating fitness into their daily lives, and so they can actually start taking care of themselves in a proper way?
Well, I think they cannot afford not to, right? Because we, like as entrepreneurs, we are the vessel that makes shit happen, right? If we're not doing the things we got to do, then the business is not going to move forward. And in order to do that at the best levels, then we got to be fit, we got to be healthy, we got to feel good. Our stress has to be as low as possible. And one thing that I tell everyone, I do a little bit of business coaching as well. One thing I tell my students is that, yeah, a lot of people just want to focus on the business, but they fail to realize that to grow your business, you also got to grow as a person, right? Because the more you grow, the fitter you are, the better you are at certain things, that automatically is going to help you grow the business, right? If you're feeling good about yourself, if you're feeling confident when you look at yourself in the mirror, if you wake up and you feel great, then that's going to reflect in the things you do on a day-to-day basis, and work activities, sales conversations, meetings that you have. It's all going to reflect on that. And then the outcomes are going to be better, right? And you're building something that's going to last for ages. Like that should be your mindset. So you're going to have to be there to take care of that boat for ages. So you got to be healthy too in order to do that. If you're wrecking yourself, and then in 3 years you're not going to be able to do anything because you're going to be sick or stressed out, then what's the point, right?
Yeah, most definitely. Is you've got to be working towards living a good life in general. Like if you put everything into one thing, if you put everything into your business and you forget your health, your fitness, you forget your relationships, like is that a life really? Like is that a life? And I think like to kind of riff off your point a bit, I think the energy factor is so important. Like when you work out and when you take care of your health and you feel good about yourself, when you look at yourself in the mirror, you're healthy, you're fit, and you work out, you're going to have more energy. And so that's going to feed over into your work. Like ironically, you're actually likely to get more work done and do better because you're not stressed, you're not burnt out, you've got more focus, you've got more clarity, and you've got more energy to actually take action on those things that are really important to you.
100%. And as entrepreneurs, we know that we make time for the things we focus on, we want to focus on. So if someone tells me that I don't have time to exercise, I'm like, that's just BS. That means that you're not actually making the commitment to make it happen, because there's people that are super busy, probably busier than a lot of the listeners, and they're making time to make it happen. So just a matter of making the commitment. And I'm not saying you got to work out 7 days a week. You can do it a couple times a week, install some healthy habits, and that's going to be enough.
Most definitely. Could you give us some bullet points of like what are some key fitness principles that you need to focus on when it comes to maybe nutrition, exercise, and sleep?
Yeah. So the key things that I have my clients focus on is, they have to be within a caloric range. So having some sort of tracking system to know exactly what's happening, what they're eating, how much food they're intaking. If you know what's happening, if you can measure it, then you can tweak it later on. But if you're just like wondering how much you're eating, then it's really hard to make decisions about your calories. So number one is start tracking your food. There's many of applications that do it, so that you get an understanding of exactly what you're consuming. And if you know what you're consuming, then you can make decisions. Well, you can see like, hey, I'm eating too many calories. I'm eating too few calories. I got to increase. I got to lower them according to what you want to accomplish. That's number one. So tracking your food. Number two, you need to be active in life, right? Being active, and the easiest and way that I tell people to be active is just walking, right? And I like to prescribe 10,000 steps a day. So if you do 10,000 steps a day, that's enough for you to be healthy, for you to increase your activity, for you to be at a really good place. So measure your nutrition, okay? So know the amount of calories, 10,000 steps a day, and then just have some sort of resistance training program. 3 times a week, 4 times a week, that's enough. It should take you 30 to 45 minutes every session. If you have those three things, then you're going to be good. And obviously, well, if you're vegan, if you're not vegan, you eat your veggies, eat your protein. But the main thing is understanding how many calories you're intaking. Once you know that, then you can make some tweaks.
Yeah, I think that's such an important point as well, because you just go back to the old adage of what gets measured gets managed. And I see people do this whenever they're trying to build a skill, whether it's in their fitness or in academics, or they've just taken up running, or they want to start growing sales in their business, or whatever it is. People forget to track that stuff. And we have such short-term memories that you don't even realize, like, I don't even remember what happened like half of yesterday, you know what I mean? So, but when you actually have the visual data, if you can see the number of like, oh, that's what I've been doing, I didn't realize that, then you can actually start to make changes. And I think that's exactly the point you're getting at with the calorie thing. It's like, once you measure that, you can then change what you're inputting, and that's going to affect the output.
100%. And to relate it back to business, right? Like a common problem that people come to me with, like my business students, like, hey, I didn't make any sales today. I was like, okay, let's see what's going on, right? And then we can trace it back. We have steps in the sales process. So the question is, how many messages have you sent out over the past 2 days, right? If that number is 0, or the past 2 weeks, if that number is 0, then, well, that's the reason you're not making sales. And the reason we do that is because we're tracking everything that happens in every step. So in the end, it's like you said, everything that gets tracked, that gets measured, gets managed. And it's going to give you clarity of what's happening in a process.
Most definitely. I think whenever you have any kind of goal, or any kind of task that you want to accomplish, and it seems like this big overwhelming thing, there's always a next step you can take, and you just got to figure out, okay, what is that next step, so you can reverse engineer from that big goal. So in this case, it's landing clients and growing a business. Then it comes to like, okay, how many sales calls are you doing? How many people are reaching out to? How many leads are you actually following up on? And I think that at the end of the day, when you focus on the stuff that you can control, like the actual measurable actions that you can manage, that is when you start to make a difference.
100%.
So I have a question for you. When it came for you to start building a team, I'm curious, what do you think makes a good leader, and how can you attract the right people into your team for your business and manage a team effectively?
That's a good question. I'm still figuring that out.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what I did. I don't know if it's the right approach or not. So I'll tell you how I hired my first team member, and he's like a crucial part of the company right now. So I was doing some business coaching. I've been doing some business coaching like as a side business, and I have a very small group of people, and I started it this year. So I had a kid that reached out to me early in January to get some help. He saw like a video of me, and he was like, hey man, I want to be a fitness coach. Can you help me out? We got on the call, and then I got him as a client for business consulting. You know, while I was helping him grow his business, my business started taking off. So I asked him like, hey, do you want to help me? Like, you're 17. He was a 17-year-old kid back then. So you want to help me? You're going to learn a bunch of skills that are going to serve you for the rest of your life. So I got him on board. He was my first team member. That's what I did. And then the other hires I've made have come either from referrals, so people that I know, or from friends that refer. Yeah, just referrals, basically. I have people that apply online, but at the end, I always end up bringing referrals.
Yeah, the word of mouth is so important, like, because at the end of the day, in your team, it's kind of the same thing with sales. You want to be someone that, you know, that they know, like, and trust. But I think it's also the same with the people in your team. Like, you want to know that they have the same mindset, they have the same work ethic, they understand what the company stands for, and you've got similar values, and you're working towards the same goal. And I think when it comes from friends and people that you trust, and like, oh, my friend who I really respect vouches for this person, that already gives you like that, it's like that extra boost, right? And I think in the situation where you hired or you took on as a team member the person that you're working with, it's probably quite likely that they understood what your mission was, they had like a similar mindset, and that was almost like a part of the interview process, because you could see that they fit in perfectly.
Yeah, exactly. And I already knew the kid. I knew he was like, he had the work ethic. I like his personality. So What I try to do now is just get referrals from people within the team, because that also helps build a culture, and it feels like a gang culture. Like everyone's has some camaraderie, and it creates like a really cool environment, even if it's online.
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. I mean, the cool thing about an online business, especially when you think about everything started locking down a few months ago. I mean, it's so great to have an online business that isn't affected by stuff like that. And then you can do that from anywhere in the world. So I'm curious to know, like, what does a typical work day for you look like?
Oh, it changes a lot.
Yeah.
For June and May, my typical work day was taking a bunch of sales calls every day. There was a month that I took like 54 sales calls. So that's like a little over an hour every call. And then, everything that happens in between. And then right now I'm focusing on, it changes a lot, honestly. I have like a team meeting in the morning. And then right now I'm focusing on marketing, and I'm creating systems for the company, so everything's smooth. Like once you grow, you're going to start to see things that are inefficient. You're going to see gaps. You're going to see things that need to be fixed. So right now, most of my work is focused on that, on fixing the gaps and automating things that are just a waste of time that could be more efficient. So it really changes a lot, like month to month.
Yeah, most definitely. I think because entrepreneurship and having your own business is such a dynamic process, and especially you're going to be focusing on different things at different stages of growth. So near the beginning, it's going to be lead generation, sales calls, working on your craft and making sure that you actually get results and coaching effectively. And then from then on, as you start to expand and build a team, it's going to be all of the technical schmechnical stuff that you'll either embrace or you're terrified of, depending on your personality type. But yeah, so such a good point. Such a good point. I'm curious to know, given that you've done a lot of sales calls and you know the lay of the land, and business at the end of the day is sales. Business at the end of the day is finding a win-win partnership, and then having the financial. That's where the money comes out of. So, what are like some bullet points of what makes someone good at sales?
What makes someone good at sales? That's a good question. I see a lot of people getting to, and I'm going to talk about specific about coaches. I see a lot of coaches getting into the friend frame in the calls, because they think it's going to help. That's going to help, but in the end, that's only hurting, because people are not coming to you for friends. They're coming to you because they need coaching. So understanding that you're not in the call to be their friend, you're in the call to be their coach. And that means that you got to learn to call people out politely, because that's what people come to you for. So I see a lot of people that are just scared to do that, and that actually ends up hurting them, because they're letting the people that are coming to them accept their excuses or their behavior patterns that are not serving them. They're not calling them out, and not saying anything about that. And in the end, that ends up hurting the transaction, and not allowing them to get the client, because they didn't do what it takes. They didn't call them out. They were not their coach during the call.
Yeah.
I always tell my team, the coaching starts from the sales call. It doesn't start when the client comes in, because the frame that you take on the sales call is going to basically determine the rest of the interaction of the client in the company. Because if you take the coaching frame, then they're going to come into the company with that frame in mind. Whereas if you take the frame, you might or might not close the client, but then if you close them, then they're not going to be submitted to your mentoring 100%.
Yeah, most definitely. They're not going to be as serious. They're probably more likely to be flaky. They're probably more likely to not follow through on the assignments. Could be like, oh, well, I'm just chatting with my friend. Yep. And they don't realize like this is something that I'm taking seriously, like for their own selfish benefit. And I think, that is such a good point. Like first impressions really do matter. And like if you're a coach, you're going to tell someone the truth. And when I think about what I would want from a coach is like, I want the coach to be not try and placate to me, but like tell me what to do. What are the steps? Be honest with me when I'm messing up, so that I know how I can improve. Because at the end of the day, that's what they're paying for.
Yeah, well, and like normal tips, Way of the Wolf is a great book that I think everyone doing sales should read. You got to be sharp, you got to be energetic, you got to be positive. if you're like talking slow and you have like a weird tone and it's monotonous and it's not fun for people, then no one's going to want to work with you, because in the end they're coming to you, you know, to get coaching, to get clarity, to get drive, to get, you know, the game plan they want. So I always tell my team, like, you gotta think as doctors, right? People are coming to you and you gotta act as a doctor. You gotta go to the point, be concise, be clear, and be energetic and sharp, right? And enthusiastic, because that's what people like.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't be really boring and monotonous. I can't picture anyone closing anything being like a boring and monotonous person.
Yep.
But yeah, kind of veering off from the point of coaches. I know you mentioned earlier that you hired coaches and mentors and things like that. And mentorship is something that I really believe in. Like, the moment I started, you know, putting that financial incentive on my goals, like, that provides this emotional leverage to get you to do stuff, but also you get to shortcut your learning curve by actually learning from people who are ahead of you and who are where you want to be. So I'm curious to hear about your experience with mentors. Like, how did that help you really start to get the ball rolling? And why do you think mentors are so important?
Oh, I mean, mentors. I mean, I wouldn't have a team. My business would be making like nothing. Like, I wouldn't be where I am without mentors. I've had a couple mentors since I started. My first mentor was Max Torno from FBM. And those guys, they really helped me believe in myself and understand that you can charge high prices for transformations, right? So they got me into the high ticket sales, into understanding that the more money people invest, the more leverage you have, and then the more committed they'll be to your program, and the better the results. And they helped me get to a certain point. After that, I hired someone else that helped me, that was more focused on fitness. And then he was helping me install processes, marketing processes, sales processes that I wasn't doing. And then I had my latest mentor, who's he's great. He's a sales. He's one of the best people in fitness sales in the world, or not one. He is the best. He just helped me create a really smooth sales process. He helped me improve my sales skills. He helped me build a team, and he helped me take the company to another level. I wouldn't be where I am without mentors. And for me, it makes no sense to do something without mentors, because you might figure it out on your own, but you probably will not. And then you're going to end up frustrated. You're going to waste a lot of time. You're going to end up doing things wrong, and you're not going to know where to focus your energy, right? When you have someone that's already where you want to be, that person will tell you do this, this, and this, and you're going to get results. And then all you got to do is focus on that, and that, and not focus on something else. And that removes a lot of decision-making on your day. So you just know what to do every day. You know what to focus on, and you just got to execute what they tell you. And then you get results, assuming you have a good mentor, obviously.
Yeah, most definitely. It's kind of like it's practical education, right? So if you want to train to be a lawyer, you're going to go to law school and learn from lawyers who are going to tell you how to become a lawyer. If you want to be a doctor, you go to medical school, and you got good mentors there who are already doctors. They're going to tell you, okay, these are the best practices. This is what you should be thinking about. This is what you should know. This is how you should interact with a patient. This is how you should not accidentally kill someone. This is how you should deal with it if you do accidentally kill someone, which I'm sure has happened in some people's careers. So I think it's such a key point. It really just is that level of education.
Yeah, it's like tuition for business or for life. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. So I'm curious to know more about you. I'm wondering, what are some mindsets or habits or rituals that you have that really keep you sharp, that keep you on the top of your game?
I do a couple of things. I wake up really early every day. I always meditate. I listen to affirmations every morning, about 10 minutes. Then I do like a quick journaling routine. And something I've been doing for the past 3 years is, and I heard this in a podcast, in a Team Phrase podcast, probably like 4 years ago, is you write the goal of your income goal as if it was already happening. So if you want to make $10,000 a month, you can say, I am making $10,000 a month by doing X, X, and X, whatever you want to do. I've been doing that for the past 4 years. And every time I set a goal, it ends up happening. So I just do it religiously every morning. I write it 10 times, and I just like a little journaling session where I just dump my brain into it. Those are the key two things that I do every single day. And then I just go for a walk with my dog. I get like 2,500 steps in the morning, and then I have my breakfast and I start my workday. Usually when I start my workday, I dedicate an hour to growth, and that could be anything I'm working on that time in the company. So it could be a sales growth block where I focus on improving my sales skills. That could be reading a script or practicing my communication, my pronunciation of words, or it could be listening to a call and figuring out what happened. Basically an hour, a block of time where I just work on something that I want to get better at. It could be sales, marketing, it could be client fulfillment, it could be deepening my knowledge about nutrition, something that's going to help me grow as a person. And after that, that's around, when I finish that, it's around 7:45, 8, and then I just start my workday. I have like a team meeting, and then I either start taking calls or just doing the things that I got to do every day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's cool when you can get up early and do all of these things for you to get that head start on your day, because I like the way that you do the growth thing as well, because yeah, if you're not growing, you're dying. But when you focus on the growth in the morning as well, before the busy work day gets in the way, and then you like procrastinate, and then you're like, oh, I don't have time now, and you get caught up in some other thing, you never do it. So I think it's really cool that you take all of that time in the morning to work on yourself and make sure you're sharp. And now that you've taken care of yourself, you can then go into your business and stuff like that.
Yeah, it sets the tone for the day, honestly. Just doing those little things sets the tone for the day. And you know, I come into my days feeling better, with more clarity. And over time, when you do that growth log, the journaling sessions, you're also going to grow as a person. And that's going to reflect on your bottom line, on your business, on your team, on your leadership, and everything. I tell my students again, like, if you want to grow your business, you also got to focus on growing as a person and growing yourself. Because the better you are at everything, the more people are going to be attracted to you, right? If you're better at communication, then you're going to be able to talk better when you're doing videos, when you're on social media. If you're a better writer, then you're going to be better at writing captions, at influencing people with your emails, with your captions. If you're a better leader, then your team, you're going to have a better engaged team that's performing at a higher level. So in the end, focusing on growing as a person is going to have an impact on everything, on every single area of your life.
Yeah, 100%. Like every single time you grow, like that stuff also compounds over time. It's like you end up from, instead of everything being linear, it becomes like an exponential growth, which I think is amazing. But another thing that I think you talked about that was really cool is when you write down stuff as if you've already achieved it. And I've been doing that as well. And I think what happens is when you do that, because instead of desiring something, you're already saying you are something or you have something. And because humans really get stuck into the identity of who they are. So if someone identifies as unfit, for instance, it's likely that they're going to stay unfit. But if they start identifying as someone who is fit, someone who goes to the gym, someone who's toned, someone who exercises, someone who eats healthy, just to take the example of what you do in your business, then their brain wants to be consistent with that. So they're going to start taking those actions and look out for those opportunities to become that fit person.
100%. And there's a book about this called Atomic Habits by James Clear. I don't know if you've read it, but it's fucking awesome. And
I love it.
And I read it a long time ago, but I think he says that the first thing in changing a habit is changing your identity, the way you think of yourself. So if you want to, like you said, if you want to become fitter, then you got to start thinking of yourself as a fit person. You got to ingrain that into your identity. If you want to make certain amount of money, then you got to ingrain that into your identity. And one of the reasons I think that works as well is because the repetition of doing it every day, you automatically start, like your brain starts working on achieving that goal, like subconsciously. So you find ways to make it happen. And you just have it in the back of your head all the time, because you're repeatedly doing that every single freaking morning for, years.
Yeah, most definitely. It rewires your neural pathways. That's what it does. And I think it's amazing. It just goes about shifting that new identity for you.
I don't know how it works, but it's worked for me, so I just keep on doing it.
Like it's the magic pill. If it's working, I'm gonna do it. You're like, you're like the kind of guy who's like, I don't care about the psychology. If it works, I'm gonna do it. If it doesn't work, I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah, I listened to this in the Team Ferris podcast. As the guy said, like he said that he wrote some affirmations, like he tripled his money in the stock market. He just wrote that like 10 times or 15 times for like 2 months, and then it happened. And he was like, "What the fuck?" And then he did it again, and it happened again. So I was like, well, I'm going to give this a try. I'm not going to lose anything. And I did it, and it happened, and it worked. So I was like, well, I'm going to keep doing it. Something's happening that is working. So I just.
That's amazing. That's such a great thing, Julian. So the last question that I have for you is, what are 3 key truths about the entrepreneurial journey that you would drop on a young entrepreneur today?
3 key truths. Oh, wow. Let's see.
It doesn't have to be groundbreaking, whatever comes to mind.
I would say, I mean, the first one, I don't know if this is true or not, but I would say it was more of an advice. I would say, don't do it alone. That's the first one. Don't do it alone. The second one is, it's going to require hard work. At least it has for me. That's my, there's people that say that it doesn't require hard work. For me, it has to require hard work and a lot of sacrifice. So it's going to require hard work, and you're going to have to make sacrifices.
Most definitely. Definitely. Yeah. Very, very good insights. Absolutely love it. It's been so lovely chatting with you, Julian. This is your chance to plug anytime. This is your chance to plug anything that you'd like to plug. So what do you have going on? Where can people find you?
Yeah, so if you wanna find me, you can go to Instagram and at Julian Hierro. So that's JulianHierro. You can type that name in Google, and you're probably gonna come out somewhere. And Instagram is the main platform right now. I'm starting a YouTube channel, but that's starting out. So if you want to get a hold of me, Instagram is the easiest way. Julian@jackvegans.com. That's also another way. You can just send me an email.
Awesome. I will put all of that in the show notes. And thank you so much for your time. It was an absolute pleasure.
No, thank you for having me. This is awesome.